Hello, and welcome to Mythical Entertainment Interviews. I'm your host, Mithrandiel. Today we have Ann Yamamoto, president of Pied Piper Inc., who is currently working on bringing the shoujo classic Skip Beat to the United States. Take a listen as she shares some of the challenges of licensing this beloved but forgotten series. Ann, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us.
Absolutely. I'm so excited for this opportunity. Thank you.
You bet. So to get started, why don't you just tell us a little bit about this campaign surrounding Skip Beat? What's the story behind it, and how it got started, and what spurred you to create this Kickstarter campaign to bring it to life?
Yes. So I specialize in finding anime gems that have been overlooked for official releases and then mobilizing fans behind those titles for with crowdfunding. And so I was, scouting around for titles and I found Skip Beat in the back catalog of TV Tokyo and I was like, this is wrong. Like this is a great title. Um, I can't let it sit here. And so
Right.
I pitched to them, let me crowdfund this project. And they'd gotten a lot of crowdfunding proposals, but they knew about the previous project I'd done with Time of Eve on Kickstarter.
Mhm.
They knew about the title. They decided to make this their first foray into crowdfunding and trust me to connect Skip Beat with its fan base. And that's how we were able to spring it from basically,
The dusty shelf in the back, kind of bringing it forward, huh?
yeah, that and it's this back catalog that no one gets to see. You don't know why it's not out in an official release. But now that once I'd seen it, I was like, you know, I I can't walk away from this.
Yeah. Wow. And that must be quite an honor for TV Tokyo to put that responsibility in your lap. And now that it's been successfully funded, maybe that'll mean you'll be able to bring more of these gems to life. What do you think?
Well, thank you very much. I have to say that this has been the battle of a lifetime.
Mm,
Um, when we launched, I had, I knew that Skippy was a fantastic title
right.
and that it has a great fan base. But I was not didn't fully see the challenges in reconnecting that fan base because it's an older title, even
Right.
though the manga is ongoing. The anime itself is from 2008, 2009. So the Indiegogo campaign totally tanked, and I have to say that that was a really alarming because
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like it was like such a it was like having ice water dumped on my head. I was like, whoa, now I have not now I've taken, this title that I love personally, and what if we fail? Like
Right.
I
Yeah.
never really, so that was, kind of confronting the abyss. And after that we really totally restructured the campaign and really connected with the fan base and we launched on Kickstarter. And even then it was not an obvious that we were going to succeed. It's
Mm.
really
You
like
just you just recently hit that goal, right? Like just yesterday.
it was totally, it's been nail biting every day. It's been nail biting.
Every day you come in, and you're refreshing the page, like sitting there, like
Yes,
every half an hour, like okay, here's
yes,
another $1,000, here's another
yes.
$300.
But
Um, yeah,
I have to say that the reason why we were able to get to this 155,000 goal, which is very ambitious, but it had to be that because TV Tokyo requires a dub with this release. So
right,
you can't do it for less than that. And this is even lower than it should cost, but it's only happening at this budget because of the labor of love from the dub team. But we were able to raise that much because the fans have been out there. Like each person who joined the campaign was then like, spamming all of their friends and family,
right, yeah.
more people on
That
board.
that
And
viral nature really helps that
exactly,
funding to pour in quickly once it takes off.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
so there must be some particular challenges when it comes to negotiating with the Japanese publishers, right? With TV Tokyo. How did you begin? So you talked a little bit about this, but if you want to expand maybe a little bit, how you began this process as a smaller studio, and maybe some of the hurdles that you faced along the way.
Yes. Well, you can only get a meeting with a publisher if you already have projects you've already done. So it's like a catch-22. It's like, how do you get your foot in the door when you can't open the door?
Right.
So I was so lucky that I had Time of Eve under my belt, which I only was able to do because I used to work in-house at the production company that made Time of Eve.
Uh-huh.
So that's like family to me. And they trusted me with that project because I had been with it from day one. So, because Time of Eve really became such a success, thanks to all the fans from around the world who participated, it even though it was just one project, I was able to do a Blu-ray, a soundtrack, two books, merchandise, original artwork. So just off of that one project, I had a whole bunch of things that I could say that I had done, and that gave me a lot of credibility when I went to talk to, for example, TV Tokyo, or I can set up a meeting with, you know, anybody basically, So that's tremendous, and I feel like it's the fans who gave me that privilege, and so I can't, you know, treat that lightly.
Right.
So
You've
I
been
feel like
bestowed with that, with great power comes great responsibility type deal.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry to like paint myself like some kind of, you know, like it's
Yeah.
some kind of drama, but I mean, I really feel that way. It is such a privilege to um, be able to have the opportunity to negotiate and to be able to see the back catalog, and see a title like Skip Beat, and then be able to say that I can. I believe that the fans will support this, and
Right.
in a way, and it's like the titles I'm looking for, these ones like Skip Beat, that have to have the that publishers that the distributors perceive as being too risky,
Mhm.
but I know the fans are out there, so we can make it happen if we all rally together.
Yeah, and that's it's funny because one of the first pieces we did was kind of on Kickstarter, and this kind of culture around these pet projects, right? These things that if you're a part of this company, if you're an executive or whatever, and you come up with this idea like, hey, let's bring Skippy to the states. Typically you'd get laughed out of the boardroom. They're like, no, we're not going to spend money and resources trying to bring back this, you know, um, this series. Whereas now with Indiegogo and Kickstarter and all these other avenues, the fans can now basically take those on and say, no, like this is important to us. Let us show you we're willing to spend the money. Let us show you that you have thousands of people willing to spend the money, and
Right.
you know now we can make that decision. So
Right.
it's empowering in that way.
Yeah.
Um, so when it comes to the domestic scene, so we talked a little bit about international publishing, but domestically, with the
Mhm.
popularity of a series like Skip Beat, I think you were mentioning in the AMA, or I think it was on your Kickstarter page actually. Skip Beat is very well received by people who have seen it and people who read the manga. It's a really great series.
Mhm.
You would expect major licensing companies to be vying for the rights for this series domestically.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
why do you think Skip Beat was overlooked? And
Yeah.
did you encounter any challenges or competition from local companies like Funimation when you were looking to obtain the license?
Well, it'd been sitting in the back catalog since 2009,
Mhm.
and the reason why no one had licensed it because TV Tokyo would not entertain any offers that did not include a guaranteed dub. If if anybody had been able to do just a subtitle only release, I can guarantee it would have been snapped up. I
Yeah,
mean, it would have definitely had gotten a release, but because of this dub requirement, that is easily, for 25 episode series, that's easily 150 to $200,000
mhm,
you have to put down to make that happen.
right.
And but then you would think that with Skip Beat, nonetheless being such a great title, that it would be
It
worth
would be
it.
worth the investment, right? Yeah, I mean, even 200,000. I mean, you get the talent together and you make the series. You would think that
Yes, you
people
would
would see that
think.
and be like, make the money, right? So
You would think so. You would
yeah,
think so. And the fact that TV Tokyo was demanding the dub, and they are very smart. I mean, they know the market. They wouldn't ask for a dub for a show that wasn't worth it.
right,
They. So I mean, they. They're also asking for, because they believe in the title, and they believe that it really does deserve to reach more people because of the kind of very universal themes in it. But nobody would do it, and so you know everyone. says that shoujo is very hard to sell, and so that's the reason. It's the shoujo demographic, and then also the combination of that plus it doesn't have any sci-fi magical elements. It's a
It's a
girl.
slice of life type.
It's a
Yeah.
slice of yeah. She's like her own inner resources. It's her in the world, and so without that, I guess you could call it like the absence of like gimmicky things that distributors felt like it was just too risky to touch for a dub, and so nobody would touch it. And so that's why that I had this chance to crowdfund it was because of this dub requirement.
That was enough of a hurdle for most to kind of step away
Yeah,
from that.
yeah. But the thing is, so when I was looking at, I love Skip Beat. Do other people love Skip Beat? Do enough of people love Skip Beat to make the dub work? So I looked at all the metrics and like, my anime list and like Crunchyroll and how it got reviewed on, you know, on ANN, and everything is like A plus plus plus.
Yeah.
So it's like I
You're like, there's
know.
some good material here. There's some good source material here. This will succeed. So
Yeah, it's like I'm not just on my own in really loving this. Like there's other people out there too.
yeah, there are literally dozens of us. No,
Yes,
just
exactly.
kidding. So you've lined up some pretty impressive voice talent for
I
this dub.
know.
Erica Lindback, who actually it's funny I ran into her at the Psychopass premiere like a month and a half ago or so. Caitlin Glass and Vic Mignogna, of course.
It's crazy.
You've lined up all this very talented voice talent.
Yes.
Um, were these individuals on board from the start, or how
Well,
did they get involved?
yes. Well, this is 100% the work of Christina B and Mela Lee, who are in charge of the dub. And I will say that this I would never have been able to take on the license if I didn't know that I could produce a great dub for an amount that I believed I could get the backers to support. And so, looking at the fan metrics, I was like, I think that we can get together $200,000, and that means the dub has to happen for, half of that because we need to have a budget also to, make the DVDs and ship them out and pay
Right.
for, credit card fees and whatnot. So, if you shop around to a reputable whatever, I mean, like if you want to get a dub done, I mean, you're talking like $6,000 to $8,000 an episode, which is it would be like $200,000 just to make the dub. We'd have to make a Kickstarter project for like $400,000, and I was like, that is too risky. So somebody actually a backer from Time of Eve introduced me to Mela Lee. He was like, you need to have this dub made because I had been talking about the kind of licensing process with that backer, and he's like, you've got to talk to Mela. She's like really smart, and she's really passionate, and I think that she might be your person. And so Mela loves Skip Beat also, and she's like, she loves the crowdfunding. She loves doing things with fans people who feel passionate about a project. He loves trying something new, and so she's like, Christina and I will make this dub happen. And they pulled in favors left and right to put together a budget that would work within the crowdfunding. I mean, I'm talking like insane. And then,
I mean, even thinking about what you were just saying a minute ago, 400,000 being a more realistic number for what you would need to do the dubbing and everything else, bringing that down to 155. I mean, that's some serious discounts. That's some serious favors getting called in.
we're doing serious favors. And then, they're already great voice actresses in themselves, and they have Jason Charles Miller with his studio to do the actual production, and that's already a stellar team. And to tell you the truth, and so they were talking about the cast they wanted to bring on, and I was like, are these people going to join our project? Like the names they were talking about from the beginning were the names we have now, like Erica and Vic, and they came on board. And I'm like, Christina will make the announcement, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's true.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
and the fans love it too, right? I mean, they know all these names, and they're going to be. I mean, if they weren't already stoked about the project before,
uh,
having this voice talent behind it is just going to add some fuel to that fire.
so I want everybody to direct their love for of Skip Beat towards Mela and Christina, because they are really the people who are enabling all of this to happen, really and truly.
So, and then you mentioned this a couple times already. So, previous to this campaign, you ran a successful campaign for Time of
Yes.
Eve.
Yes.
Uh, how is this campaign different? Would you say? I mean, it sounds like Time of Eve was its own challenge. Um, and you again, you succeeded there and exceeded even. What makes the two different? Would you say?
The two, well, there's a number of differences. One is that Time of Eve, I was working with, the license holder was a company I'd worked at before previously. And so
Mhm.
there, we had a very close relationship. So, it was very privileged. I was very privileged to be able to get like worldwide rights except for Japan,
Mhm.
and just tremendous flexibility. Like we were able to do a region free DVD release and or Blu-ray release, and just really have great communication and access to the creative talent and do original artwork. So that was a very special kind of project and really ideal for crowdfunding. Um, Whereas Skippy, I'm working with TV Tokyo production committee, very formal. I don't have the leeway to contact the creative staff except through their channels. Um, so I have many more restrictions that I'm working within. Um, I only was able to get North America rights. I was able to get merchandise, but only certain types of merchandise. No original artwork, and the DVD is not region free. It's like there's the kind of
Maybe
typical
more limits.
constraints.
Yeah, typical constraints.
Yeah, and so that's definitely one difference. Another difference is that Time of Eve, to my knowledge, it was the first localization on Kickstarter
Yeah.
for an anime. There had been the Kick Heart project previously, which was really kind of the open the floodgates for anime on Kickstarter, but it was the first one, so there was that kind of novelty aspect, and now the field is definitely a lot more crowded.
Mhm.
Um, we were already going head to head with Escafone and Writing Bean, which I'm not going to say, which is great. Like I'm so excited. I backed both of those projects. I'm so glad that they were out there.
Right.
But it is a different environment,
Mhm.
I guess.
So
People
it's not as
who are,
unique as it used to be. There's more competition out there,
yeah,
more
yeah,
projects. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah. Um, and Time of Eve was started out as a very modest project. We just wanted $18,000 just to do the Blu-ray, no frills. And then we had the opposite problem of like getting too much funding.
Yeah.
And that's actually it's a huge problem of its own. It's like how do you
How do you make it
reward.
worthwhile? Exactly. Like when your goal was 18,000, and then the community say you get 150.
Yeah,
The community is going to say, okay, you had 150,000. What do we get for that 150,000?
so we got 215,000 at the end, and I was like, and I hadn't priced things out. Like I didn't know what so I was like scrambling for other things to be able to offer as rewards, so I was able to clear the rights to the official fan book, and so I put that out there, but I'd never published a book before, and so I did my very best to put together production costs, but whenever you do something for the first time you
Yeah,
make a
it's
lot.
always got some growing pains, got some things to
Yeah,
learn.
so I had a lot of growing pains in fulfilling the rewards, and it ended up taking 2 full years to send them all out, but everyone was really generous and patient
That's
with
great.
that process.
That can be a challenge with Kickstarter projects for sure. People being
Yeah.
patient. I know I'm having difficulty myself with Mighty Number
Yeah.
Nine, but that's my own thing. Um, so once this project wraps up, do you have any other series that you're hoping to bring to life? Any other kind of series sitting in the back shelves gathering dust that you
Yeah.
were hoping to bring to life?
Yeah. Well, um, Directions, the company that did Time of Eve has another project that I would like to work with them to launch this summer.
Mhm.
Um, is a much smaller project on Kickstarter, and I think that will be a lot of fun because again, they're really creative about giving access to artwork and, you know, working with the creative staff, working with backers, and great communication. So that will, if we can pull that off, that would be lots of fun. And then from other license holders, like TV Tokyo, like that type of license, I actually have a bid out on another project that I would love to do, but it's currently like the production committee is looking at my offer, and I'll see if I can get those rights or not. It would be really nice. And I have my eye on a couple of other properties that I'd like to put offers in the next couple months. So, my goal, I really like having very um, intense, I guess, whatever, like personal connections with backers, and so I'm not interested in becoming so big that I would lose that. So
Right.
to me, it's like, you know, 2 or 3 projects a year is what feels right.
So cycling
So,
through those.
yeah.
But picking out the good ones, maintaining that loyal base, because when you develop that base, I mean, this maybe this time you're doing Skip Beat, which is like a shoujo series, but then the next project you take on, it could be in a completely different wheelhouse. But if you
Yes.
have that fan base there, they'll be like, hey, I love what Ann does. She picks out all this great projects, so I'm gonna put $40 towards this anime I probably won't watch and give to my brother or my cousin
Right,
or
right, right,
whatever,
right.
just to help support you.
Yeah. And yeah.
So yeah, that
Yeah.
that that could pay off absolutely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I to me, like the whole thing about crowdfunding is it's not even necessarily the end product, which I am always aiming that it will be something that you'll be proud to have on your shelf. I mean, that's like the end goal. But it's like the process of making it, and it's like that is kind of to me what is really the reason why I think that people join, or enjoy, find it to be worthwhile. It's like everything that I find out and learn and experience, and every failure that I go through in the production process, I share it, and you know we can all learn what happens behind the scenes. It's not behind the scenes anymore. It's
Right.
like you can see all of the the ingredients that go into the decisions that result in the final product, and also be involved in subtitle checking, and proofreading, and looking at the the draft designs and stuff like that. So it's like that whole nitty gritty experience.
So is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Well, we really, really, really want to get to the 185,000 stretch goal to be able to make this Blu-ray. And I have to say that this will be such an accomplishment because there's never been a Blu-ray release of Skip Beat.
Yeah.
Japan was DVD only. The original material is SD, but our authoring guru, Justin Savakis, has reviewed the original material, and he's like, this is a perfect candidate for upscale. It will look fantastic on Blu-ray. And it's costs a chunk of money to make Blu-ray happen, the upscaling, the authoring, the glass master. And in order to make that happen, we've got to make the stretch goal. And if we don't, I don't think that Skip Beat will get another chance at a Blu-ray. I'm not going to have that chunk of change to make it happen for a retail release, for example, or any kind of follow-up. So this is it.
This is it. Final 48 hours or so. By the time this interview goes up, we got about 48 hours
Yes.
left.
Yes.
The link to the Kickstarter is absolutely going to be in this piece, so look for that. We are very, very excited. Thank you, Anne, for taking the time to chat with us again today. Definitely pushing for 185 for you so we can get that Blu-ray and see Skip Beat in all of its glory,
Yes.
and bring it to the States properly. Thank you so much again for taking the time.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
All right, you bet.